and welcome back to my channel, So Dysfunctional. Thanks for joining me today. Welcome back to any subscribers and to any new viewers. Hello and welcome to you, and please do subscribe if you would like to see more of my videos. So today is a little roundup of things that I've made in May. It's been quite a busy month because I've got my two children at home in lockdown and my husband's working 6 days a week. So I've managed to make a few things, and actually mainly for them, but not much sewing done for me. So let's get on with what I've made. So the first thing I made was this jumper for my little boy. And I was really pleased with this because he absolutely loves tractors, and I've not done any applique before. So I actually made this jumper from a Gap jumper that I bought at the charity shop. It's just a normal sort of fleece-backed sweatshirting fabric, but it's really soft on this right side. So that's really nice. And then I made the little tractor design. I just took a picture off Google and traced it out, and made the tractor using scraps of fabric from my stash. You might recognise this yellow is the Ponte Roma that I used to make my seamwork Sadie top, which was on my first video. And as you can see, it's done exactly the same thing, and it's gone quite bobbly like on my jumper. But he doesn't mind about that. This was a pattern, a free pattern. It's called, I think it's just called a Raglan Tee. And it is, I think it's Life So Savoury. I will link down below all the patterns and things. And I've used this pattern quite a few times to make other tops for my kids, mainly sort of pajama tops. I do love a raglan. It's just so much quicker than setting in proper shoulder sleeves. And I thought I'd sized up enough to make this jumper sort of big enough for him so that it would last for a while, but I was wrong. So he's basically busting out of it already, which is a shame, but it wasn't actually that difficult, so I could easily make him another out of something else. You can see I worked quite hard to make the details quite nice on this, so I top stitched the seams down at the arms, and also you can see that there's a seam up the back, and that was because when I cut the jumper up, there just wasn't enough fabric to get a front and a back in a whole piece. I actually picked up a tip from one of the many Facebook sewing groups I'm on for doing applique, and that was this. This is Heaton Bond Light. It's an iron-on adhesive, and you can sew through it just fine. I don't think it washes away, but it is specified to the light one as sewable, so you can sew through it. You actually bond it to the whole piece first, then cut out your shape, and then you tear off the other side of this and iron it down, and that sticks it down. And it worked really well. So I just I bought that from Amazon, I think. Yeah, there it is. I'll link it down below. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be using more of that because I really enjoyed doing the little applique on this tractor, and I think it turned out well. It's just a shame that he's basically grown out of it, but my sister has got some little boys, so it will be going her way. The next thing I made was a jumper for my little girl. So this is actually fabric that I did buy, and I bought this from Flamingo Fabrics online right at the beginning of lockdown, and I just bought 1/2 metre, and I've still got a little bit left, some scraps, so I'll try and make something else out of the scraps that are left. I also bought the orange ribbing from them. So this is a pattern from Brindle and Twig. It's a free pattern. It's called the Ringer Tee, and obviously I just used it to size it up into a jumper. I really loved the pattern of this. I thought it was really pretty. And this is a loop back, just quite a lightweight French terry, but really nice for sort of summery jumper just to chuck on. You'll also see that it's got this it's got this pleat in the front, which wasn't meant to be there, but again, I just made the pattern up thinking it would be fine in her size, and when I tried it on, the neckline was really low and quite baggy on her, and I think this pleat has taken out 5 centimetres, and even so it still runs a little bit low for what I would expect for a jumper. So I'm in the process of just adjusting that pattern a bit, putting the shoulders back to the size they were, raising up the neckline to take out some of that space. So yeah, it's got typical sort of child stains on it already. But she seems really pleased with it, and I was really happy with that. So that was a nice one. I'll link the pattern down below because that's a good one, that brindle and twig pattern. So the next thing I made for her as well is I think it's called the Irma cardigan. It's IRMA, Irma. It's by the French company Icati. So I made this out of a jumper which I bought from the charity shop. So I really, really love a good rummage through a charity shop, especially for pieces of clothing that have plenty of fabric in to make things out of. Especially for kids, it can be quite easy as long as you buy sort of big, like a big jumper, or I bought a maxi dress, a cotton jersey maxi dress that I'm planning to make some pajamas out of. My little ones. So you can normally, as long as it's a big enough garment, get a kid's pattern out of things quite easily. So yeah, this was I think it was like a Sainsbury's jumper or something, a man's extra large jumper that I made this out of. So it's just sort of a cotton knit basically. And she chose, this was a scrap of fabric that was one of the fabrics I bought when I went to South Korea, which is in my Show Us Your Stash 2020 video. This is one of the fabrics that came from South Korea. I'll link that down below in case you haven't seen it and you'd like to have a look. So I was really pleased with how this turned out. I made it in a size, an age 4, and she is nearly 4. And it's a little bit big on her, but that's okay because it's quite a warm cardigan, so it'll see her nicely through autumn and into winter probably. The pattern was good. The only thing I would say about it is that sometimes the instructions are not unclear, but you have to sort of read them a few times. So I don't know whether the lady who owns the company has translated the patterns into English or had someone else do it. But sometimes, just occasionally, I sort of had to reread things just to check them out. The other thing about the pattern was the markings for the notches, which I found slightly strange. I can't remember exactly what it was about them, but when I sort of traced off the pattern, because obviously it's a multi-size pattern, and I did find that sometimes it was a bit confusing about which notch went with which piece of the pattern. So I just had to be a bit careful about that. And anything else to say about it? Yeah, the way that the cardigan is gathered into the yoke, you were told as part of the process to go along and quarter the top of the main section with pins to line up with quarter marks on the yoke, and it was a bit sort of over faffy, I think. But yeah, I was really pleased with it. I think it looks really nice. It's just a perfect shape. She's had quite a few cardigans from places like Marks and Spencer's that we've inherited with a similar kind of shape with just a couple of buttons at the top. One thing I would also do, which I don't think was in the pattern as a sort of reminder next time, is really trim down the seam allowance inside this part of the button placket, because I had to do my buttonholes further over than I think they were meant to be, because I couldn't get the foot to be happy about doing them closer because I hadn't cut down the seam allowance enough. But other than that, I was pleased, and it's always nice to get something else out of a charity shop find. So the next thing I made, a couple of pairs of shorts, one for each of my children. Now these were made out of old pairs of my trousers. So I had a pair of maternity trousers that I wore to death and split one day after I'd had my second child, but I was still living in them. So obviously they went on to the kind of, I think they became painting trousers for a while. But I looked at them a couple of weeks ago and thought, I'm sure I could squeeze out a pair of shorts out of these. So I took them completely apart. I've still got the fabric, the sort of the ribbed jersey from the maternity waistband, that I'm hoping that I'll sort of manage to use for something. And I made these little shorts for my little boy. Now the pattern is by Made Every Day. I'll link that below, and it's just the kids shorts pattern. So you'll see if I turn these around, they've got sort of slightly odd markings on them. So this is where, because of where the trousers had split on me, to get enough fabric out, I had to take the pockets off. Because they were just so bulky, the sort of where they've been sewn on, you know, they've got seam turned under and then overstitched. If I'd have tried to sew them into the waistband, it would have been a complete nightmare. So in the end, I resigned myself to taking them off, and of course, sort of left this strange white line. It's on the back, and he's only 2, so he doesn't even know that they're there probably, and he certainly doesn't care. I was also really pleased because I took the elastic out of the top of the maternity trousers that was sort of stitched in, and I used that for the waistband. So I really did eke out everything I could out of that old pair of trousers. And then the other shorts I made for my daughter, same thing, an old pair of New Look jeans, I think they were. Now the stupid thing I did with these was I just sat down in front of the telly one night and chopped the jeans up completely, so that I took the front and the back pieces of the jeans apart. And I shouldn't have done that because they were not wide enough for me to get the leg pieces out. So I ended up basically sewing them back together, which is why it's got these seams down the front and the back of the legs. But having done that, I decided to make a feature out of it. So I haven't actually overlocked these or anything on the inside, but I did stitch them down with some funky orange thread. And then I decided to do the same when I stitched down the waistband elastic and, oh, more food, sorry, and when I hemmed the bottom of them. And there they've got their Kylie in the Machine labels in there. Yeah, I really enjoyed putting those labels, but that was the same pattern. So that was all good. So the last thing I made was something for me. I made a pair of pajamas out of the Helen's Closet Elliot tee for the top, and I used the Closet Case Carolyn Pajama Bottoms for the shorts. I'll show you them here. And I made these out of this is a viscose jersey, and I bought this fabric from Sew Your Own Wardrobe in Ashby de la Zouche. And it was an absolute bargain because they had a little basket of sale fabrics when I went in with my mum. And it was originally £12 a metre, and it was half price. So I bought 2 metres of it for £12. And it's really soft and drapey and lovely. And I didn't know what I was going to make with it when I bought it, of course. But I had thought about making some pajama bottoms, and then actually I decided that I could squeak out a pair of summer pajamas. So this time with the Elliot tee, I put on just the band. Of course, when I made it before, it was a sort of roll neck jumper. I just chopped off the sleeves at sort of a decentish t-shirt type length, and I've made it relatively short because the shorts are high-waisted. Yeah, so that's really comfy. And then here are the shorts. I'll stand up in a minute and just show you what it looks like on. Now I did adjust the pattern a little bit with this. So I've made these before, but of course they're meant to be made in a woven fabric. What I did, I think, was trace off the pattern I already had, and then I slashed the pattern vertically in a couple of places on the leg portions and spread it out, because what I wanted was some sort of slightly more floaty shorts that basically had a bit more fabric around the leg than the actual pattern does. So they're quite they're not fitted obviously in the pattern, because that wouldn't be comfortable if you're in a pair of pajamas, but they're sort of not massively baggy, especially not around the thigh area. So I just wanted to make them a bit more swooshy. What I also should have done, however, really, I think, having made them up, was take some fabric out going up to the waist, because actually there's loads of fabric at the waist. I mean, I guess it looks okay, but I do find it ruches up a lot across the back, and it being such a stretchy fabric anyway, I didn't need that much fabric to get it over my hips, because it would have stretched over my hips just fine. But of course I only thought about that after I'd already got to the point of basically having them made up. And by that stage, I couldn't take anything out of the side seams because I'd already put the pockets in. So it's fine, I'll live with it. Just means they're a bit sort of more roomy than I had planned in my head. But that doesn't matter, they're really, really comfy to sleep in. So yeah, I shall get up and show you the pyjamas. So here are my pyjamas. Sorry, I've chopped my head off again. I need to figure out the camera angles. So yeah, Helen's Closet Elliot Tee on the top and the Closet Case Carolyn Pajamas on the bottom. So they've got the pockets and they're gathered waistband. So as you can see, I put a bit more room there at the legs, so they're sort of just a bit more loose and loungy. And the t-shirt comes down to there when it's not tucked in. The back. Yeah, just a really nice, cosy, loungy pair of pyjamas for the hot weather. So that's all from me for my makes for May. I hope you've enjoyed just seeing what I've made. Please do like this video if you've enjoyed it. Leave me a comment down below if you fancy. It's always nice to chat and connect with other sewers. And please do subscribe if you'd like to know when my next video comes out. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you're all well and I'll see you soon. Bye.